This situation causes a very huge problem. So now each metal tank is gonna rusty. So from all cars, trucks, forklifts, farming machines, earth moving machines, the tanks are gonna rusty. Yeah, this means even in diesel tanks. So in diesel tanks, we in Europe, we add around 7% biofuel to that. Yeah, and biofuel is or biodiesel in that case, it's the same issue. Yeah, we have the same situation because the biofuel is like butter. Yeah, and it's gonna it's switching to acid in a short time and produces sludge, and the acid in that case is water mixable as well and causes a huge amount of rust. So the rusty tank is not finally the issue, but the rust particle, which has a small size, is going through pumps, injection pumps, injectors, blocking injectors, and it's abrasive. Yeah, and the particle size is such a small that the filter is taking out the big particles, and the small particles is passing the filter and causes problems. The next issue is that acid and environmental you have in the tank, not even the tanks are gonna rusty. All metal parts which is connected to the engine, for example, high pressure injection pumps, carburetors, all of that will be gonna rusty. Yeah, even white metals like tin, aluminum, yeah, or yellow metals, which is connected in their parts, are gonna rusty, and that will be bring a big failure by the motorbikes, cars, trucks, and all vehicles we have, even in stationary machines. And therefore, I developed a concept which everyone, not even professional garages, have the possibility to take out the rust and seal the tank, so that we are solving that issue. Yeah. First of all, one image shows an two-stroke motorbike tank, and you can see rust along with a splitted oil or separated oil in the tank. And it could be possible that such a situation you have nearby each tank, because especially once the bike is gone older, maybe 10 years, 15 years plus, a separation from the fuel will be happen, and along with the rust, you have such a situation inside. So this image shows you a tank which is around 60 years old. Yeah, and in the 50s, 60s, last century, the quality of the fuel was not such as perfect. So the paraffin content was even high, and that paraffins, or the US guys tell it gum, yeah, will be remaining on the bottom of the tank, and it's hard to take it out because it's coming from fuel, or the petrol isn't solvent. Yeah, and to take it out with a solvent, this is quite a challenge. So only mechanically you can take it out such rust. To take out the rust from a tank, it could be possible that you have to use, for example, a concrete mixer like that, to put the tank in a plastic bag to cover it for any damage. Put in the tank maybe from safety glass, yeah, small particles from safety glass, or small screws, nuts, bolts inside, to take out the rust before we start. And the most important point is that we take out every sludge or remaining oil from the tank, because oily situations or oily residues we have inside. Yeah, this means to take out that, we need, in the most of the cases, once it's extremely rusty, we have to take out that with such a devices. Yeah. Or such a device, for example, a handmade equipment or support like that, for a bicycle wheel, yeah, and a small electric motor, yeah, which you can help yourself to shake the tank over longer period, yeah, to take that out. So you can use each equipment. So beginning from a high pressure washer, yeah, up to, for example, safety class particles screws to help yourself to take out the remaining rust. So we have seen that, or from the beginning, we have perfect tanks, especially on motorbikes, which the coating or the patina is perfect. Yeah, therefore the tank must be covered with a plastic bag along with the duct tapes, that no chemistry like solvents, gasoline, or bolts, nuts can have an effect on the paint. Therefore, we cover that perfectly with maybe towels, yeah, packed in plastic bag and covered each painted part with cover that with a duct tape, like you can see here on the image, so that no cracks will be happen on the paint. This takes time, and you have to do it really perfect, so that no chemistry is coming under the plastic bag and remain on the paint over a longer period. Sure, once the tank are extremely bad or they have holes, then you should think about maybe repaint the tank, such a tank, or depending on the customer. So what the customer want to invest in that, yeah. Therefore, once you start selling that, first of all, we have to examine the tank to see how much work needs to be done to refurbish that tank, yeah. And not only somehow even although most of the people think tank cleaning is an easy job, but it is not, yeah, because first of all, we have to see the actual situation, and then your experience will be telling you how much is it. So I don't know right now your background. So the concept we are providing is made in such a way that the people can do it by yourself at their garages. So this works with two-wheeler tanks, but not with car tanks. With car tanks, you need a support because they have 60, 80 liters. And this car tanks needs to be fixed on a support, yeah, so that you can drain out the solvent, the washing water, for example, and finally the rust converter water mixture. So once the tank is cleaned from oily residues, you can start with a derosting process. And for the derosting, we developed a rust converter. Then the rust converter is based on the phosphoric acid along with an inhibitor for corrosion over a longer period. And it's concentrated. You dilute that rust converter. So we rename it from rust converter in the last weeks. We rename it from rust converter to rust fix. And the rust fix product is will be diluted with water in the mixing ratio from 1 to 10 up to 1 to 60. This means with 1 liter, you can derust and tank up to 60 liters or even up to 80 liters, depending on the shape of the tank, if we have buffer blades inside, or the amount of rust is inside, especially by bigger tanks where the condensed water is much more. We can see on the bottom of the tank that we have bigger or deeper rust layers. Yeah, therefore, the derosting process takes longer. So with a high diluted rust converter, we can derust every metal part. So once it's more diluted, it takes more time. It could be possible that for a small amount of rust, it takes 30 minutes up to 2 weeks, depending how deep the rust layers are, because the water mixture or the water rust converter mixture have to penetrate the rust layers, and that it goes through the rust layers and lifting the rust. And finally, it converts the blank metal to ferrium phosphate surface. So this is the reason why we name it phosphating rust converter. Finally, what we're doing is phosphating the metal surface, and the phosphated metal surface is a corrosion protected metal surface. And it could be possible that you have an inspection between, so that you train out a water rust converter, or do once again a washing with a high pressure washer to take out the lifted or the separated rust particles, to see how the process of the derosting is going forward, or it's finalized. Yeah, once it's finalized, then the remaining sludge, dirt, rust particle must be drained out with a solvent, and therefore we are using acetone. Acetone, the most benefit of acetone is water mixable as well. This means it will be diluted with a rust converter water mixture, and you can take out the rust converter water mixture very, very quick, along with the perfect cleaning. I want to show you right now in a or the tank how it should be look like. Can you see that image?
Yes, we can.
Yes, with the rust converter bottle. So I don't know if it's switched. So the rust converter, so once we have a tank which is extremely rusty, or we have small prinkles, holes inside, the tank must be put in a pail for example, like you can see like that, and to de-rusting from outside, because once a tank have holes, it's not possible to fill it up with the rust converter mixture completely full. The target is to de-rust each metal part, and therefore we have to do the tank completely full. If it's not possible to do that because you have holes, you should put in the tank in a pail like that and de-rust it from in and outside, so that you have a perfect conditions. So this tank is extreme situation, because I want to show you. For example, this is the worst tank I've ever seen. Yeah, this tank has around 500 holes, but we have the possibility to refurbish such a tank. Yeah, and for example, like that. This is the situation, how it looks like from inside. And you can see here all around we have a huge amount of holes. Yeah, this image we had. I want to show you the. Yeah, this is image what I'm searching for. You put it in completely, and therefore we can de-rust it perfect. Yeah, and now I want to show you the result. And this is finally the result after the de-rusting process. Yeah.
Pretty impressive, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, and this is yes, this image I'm searching for. You can see how much the rust has worked here. Yeah, this is the centerpiece of the tank, and the most important point, or this image shows what needs to be done. So once you clean the tank, you have to take out the rust from each pore. So normally the rust is working, or I will tell you in that way, the rust is drilling holes, yeah, into the tank, into the metal surface. And this image shows you how the rust is working. So mechanically, it's not possible to take it out, because once you grind the metal surface, you will cover the rust in the pores, yeah. And once the rust is in the pores, it will be de-rust again, once again, in very, very fast. Yeah, and to take out that rust particles in the pores, this is absolutely necessary. And this is only possible chemically. It's not with a grinding process or a shaking process, especially inside the tank, where you can not go inside with a brush or with other equipment to take it out. And after that procedure, you can coat the tank. So let me go forward in this video to show you some more image. So once the tank has holes, so normally the tank have no holes, because we should refurbish the tank earlier, yeah, that no sprinkles, no holes are there. So you have to see the tank before. Now we cover all the holes with a duct tape. Yeah, it's easy going. So duct tape is cheap, and you can cover it from outside. Then this is a picture made after the coating. I will introduce right now the coating. The coating we have is a single component polyurethane coating. We call it cold hardened plastic. So this is explained in one sentence. And the main benefit is absolutely petrol resistant as well as diesel. And we have the possibility, or it's a solvent-based coating, and the solvent is penetrating the metal pores perfect. Yeah, the most important point is not the thickness of the coating. The most important point is the behavior from the coating to go inside the pores to have a perfect adhesion. This is the most important point. Yeah. So once the tank is not absolutely blank, or you have a new tank, for example, you have a new tank and the people are thinking, oh, we'll coat the tank. It could be possible that inside is a corrosion protection oil. So the manufacturer prevent that for corrosion, put inside the corrosion protection oil, and it looks perfect. Yeah, the tank, you look inside, the tank is absolutely blank, but it is not. In the metal pores, once you see the metal on the microscope, it has hills and valleys. Yeah, and in the values you have a remaining oil, and once it's there, then it's not possible to coat because we have not a perfect adhesion. Yeah. So now our experience is with that coating that, for example, my own motorbikes, which I coated the tanks 25 years ago, and will be only used in the summertime, maybe for some trips. Yeah. It holds then more than 25 years. Even under that quality, we have, for example, we have either components, ethanol components inside, and it has no effect to the coating. Yeah. So this means, once again, not the thickness of the coating is the most important point. The adhesion to the metal surface is the most important point. But what the petrol do is, the petrol will weaken the coating, and once the coating is weakened, it will be separated from the metal surface once again. Yeah, and then we have a big problem, more than with rust, because you have the separated paint particles inside, which causes a big problem. So clocking filters and all of that. So let me go forward. So now you can see it better. You can see here, the coating is transparent. Yeah, and here is bright shiny here in that case, that area, sorry. So after the derusting process and coating, you can paint the ceiling from outside as well. For example, such a tank needs to be coated maybe 3 or 5 times from inside and the same amount from outside. The most important point is that you can sand that. Once it's completely dry out, you can sand that and coat once again from outside as possible.
Mr. Wagner.
So this means you can sand that, you can prefer that perfect for a final coating. So this is now the refurbished tank. The image I want to show you. So this is the coating, how it looks like from outside. Yeah, and the expansion of the coating must be perfect, more than the steel, because a steel tank fixed on a two-wheeler are faced with temperature changes, a huge amount. For example, in the night, if the temperatures goes down, or once it's rainy, the tank will get on shock because it will be cooling down, and it will expand the tank once you have sun radiation. The temperature changes could be 50, 60 degrees Celsius plus, even in a short time. So what happens with the coating inside? The coating inside must be absolutely flexible. And this test shows you how flexible that coating is. So in that short video clip, you have seen how flexible that coating is after coating. And this is the most important point, because your tank is under movement 24 hours, 365 days a year. If you have that benefit not, your coating will be becoming cracks. The fuel will go under the coating, and at the end it will be you will have several problems, because the coating will be split away from time to time, and it will be rusty once again. And what we have seen in the last 25 years, that the behavior of the tank or the expansion which we have does not affect the coating, so that we have a perfect coating over a long time, and it's absolutely resistant against fuel, petrol, the different type of petrol, diesel, biodiesel, but not for coolant fluids. For coolant fluids, we have polyethylene glycols inside, and the polyethylene glycols have the behavior that such a coating will be weak maybe over 4 or 5 years, and it will be separated from the metal surface. So for bigger holes, we have the possibility to use, for example, a glass-fibre mat. I will show you that. Just a second. So let me find the video sequence. Yes, here. So this is a normal situation. You can see, especially in the bottom of the tank, we have several holes. To weld that holes, it's possible, but the metal thickness here is not very big, and once you're welding, it could be possible that the hole is becoming bigger. And once you put temperature inside, you can produce more cracks and sprinkles, which is the next issue you have to solve. Therefore, we're trying to reduce that, or trying to weld a tank, and to refurbish that with, for example, with a glass-fibre mat. I will show you. We put on the tanks the coating, and one layer. Then we let it dry it out, that we have a perfect adhesion to the metal surface. With the next layer of the coating, we are implementing a glass-fibre mat. And the glass-fibre mat will be flushed with a coating once again, And so that maybe in 3 or 4 coatings, you can cover that, yeah, or solve this issue like we have seen here. So for the final process, yeah, so we have a single component coating system. Once you so it's we have in the last time we checked all competitors and all of our competitors using a and a 2 pack with a hardener. And this is what I won't use, because the hardener brings an effect that the coating is too hard or not flexible, which we need for such tanks. And therefore, we have only one disadvantage. The one disadvantage is that the time to try out the tank takes more time than in comparison to a 2-component sealing. But we have seen that this disadvantage does not matter, especially in the market, because the customer follow up their rules and they have a perfect results, and this is what counts, yeah. And therefore we was able, especially in that high price market we have here in Germany, that we are market leader in the German spoken countries, along in the French spoken countries in Europe, in France. And now I'm switching to an international brand from we name it before Ross Converter and Tank Sealer in English language. Now 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I had a good idea to rename that to Rust Fix and Tank Fix, or Tank Fix, so that I can create an international brand for that. And therefore, we are start that, or right now we are rebranding that project and starting the market with big steps. So we invested in the last time a huge amount of money in advertisement in the magazines, along with articles we have set up together with the Federal Car magazines. So for example, in 2014, we got 4 pages in the most sold out Federal Car magazine here in Europe. And therefore we got a perfect reputation in the market. So we are visible. So we are the market leader in Europe. So, and now I will go ahead with several languages. For example, we are starting right now with English language, then with the Spanish and the Portuguese language, so that we can cover that market as well. So so now it's time for questions.
Mr. Wagner, would we be able to, tinker or remove a particular dent on the tank after the sealing is complete?
Yes.
Okay.
So look, we have, I will tell you the situation. So we have, for example, in Germany, we have the brand BMW using paints in the 60s, yeah. And these paints are perfect quality, but not even on the environmental of ethanol, yeah. This means from time to time, that paints are going out, yeah. And this is a big problem because especially in motorbike tanks from the 80s, 90s, where the fuel pumps are installed in the tanks, yeah. This means to refurbish such a tank is quite a challenge. Therefore, I developed a chemistry, it's called Tank X, The tank X chemistry will be taken out each coating, which is used in the past, which has been used in the past. Yeah, but it takes time because the chemistry do only weaken the coating, and once it weakened, then it will be it will be losing the adhesion to the metal surface, and then small particles are going away. But this process takes a longer time. Yeah.
And is it safe on rubber components? Suppose, you mentioned that, a lot of fuel tanks have fuel pumps inside. So there might be rubber components inside, which are, with the fuel pumps. So is this
Yes.
safe on that? Yeah.
No. So I will tell you. So look, in the history of the tank constructions, we have several issues. We have pumps inside, we have training holes inside, we have pipes inside for tank breathing, so that the air is coming in. We have filters inside. Yeah, we have baffle blades inside. We have pipes inside. It's for to reduce that the fuel is not coming out once you maybe for refill the tank. And we have for in sports car and race cars, we have baby tanks inside. Yeah, for example, Audi Quattro. The tank construction is such as made that we have the tank, maybe 80 liters, and inside we have a baby tank. So once you're driving the corner, the G-forces will be, the fuel will be going outside the outer wall, and so that you have not enough fuel on the bottom of the tank. And therefore, they constructed inside the tank so-called baby tanks. And this means so that especially in the corner where you have G-forces, that enough fuel is there for the engine. And such a tanks you can't coat. Yeah, such a tank needs to be opened once, for example, it's a baby tank inside. But I will come back to your questions. Once for the rubber components or fuel pumps which inside, all these parts which is connected to the tank needs to be taken away. Yeah, it must be dismantled. It must be everything what is possible. In some cases, we have not a possibility because pipes are inside or welded inside. Therefore, you have to take care that you coat that pipes not, so that the function of the tank is not gonna lost. Yeah, and especially for rubber components, all these rubber components must be removed if possible. Yeah. So, and the next question in the chat, kindly let us know the thickness of the coating. The coating will be around 0.15 millimeters by one layer. Maybe once you do a second layer, you can increase that. But so I recommend to go with a second layer after 1 day, especially by big tanks. Once you're not sure that you cover all metal surfaces. For example, in a passenger car tank from a Mercedes-Benz with 100 liters with 5 baffle blades inside. It's possible. It's hard to cover everything. Therefore, I recommend a second layer, especially by such a tank shape you have seen, which such a deep rust pores. You have to coat it twice or 3 times. Yeah. Yes, it's around 150 to 200 microns of each layer. That is enough to coat the tank, because we have only to separate the fuel from the metal. That's it, not more. Yeah. So any question? Yeah, next question, temperature resistance of the coating. This is a good question. Look, we have a cold hardened plastic, and each plastic will be affected from temperature. So what we have seen is that our coating, once we coat, for example, oil pans from engines, yeah, which we have temperature around 120 or even more, that is possible, but not with a higher temperature. So this question is there very often because especially once you want to coat the tank afterwards from outside, the temperature is an issue. And therefore, I recommend to coat, once you want to do that in that way, with temperature, for example, for a powder coating. Yeah? Therefore, I recommend to coat the tank from inside after coating from outside. Yeah, the most important point is the preparation of the tank, the pre-preparation to take out the rust, and this is the most important point, or job. The final coating is only finishing, yeah, and therefore, for the temperature issues, I recommend to coat after, for example, a powder coating. Next question: does a rust fix etch the surface in order to promote adhesion of the tank fix? This is what I don't understand. Does rust fix etch the surface? What does it mean? Or can you explain me in other words?
Sure. So what happens is, now we have a lot of old coatings inside the tank.
Yes.
Okay. Now what we do is we put the nuts and bolts, and we shake it, and we try to remove it, or try to loosen the addition of the older coating from the tank.
Yes, yes.
Now when we install when we install the rust fix, for example, to de-rust the tank, when we remove all the all the solution, does that create a kind of etching inside, to promote adhesion of the material? Because this is something that I was finding it very difficult on the epoxy based coatings.
Yes,
I do a lot
yes.
of motorcycle tank restorations, at least about 50 a month.
Yes, 50 a month. Okay.
50 a month, yeah.
Yeah. So one question. You have coatings in the market, right, in India?
Yeah.
So, and why they are not working? This is the question. Is the quality not so good, or why, or how often does you have that situation, or do you have it by each tank, or what is the situation?
There are multiple scenarios with this. Now epoxy, what I've noticed is it stands for about 3 to 4 years maximum. After that, because it's a brittle product, okay, it's a very hard product.
Yes.
It just chips off from the surface. That is a problem with epoxy. With another product called POR15, paint over rust 15. Okay.
Yes, yes, I know
that's
that
US
brand.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I noticed that the aluminum flakes dissolve with the fuel over a period of time. If the fuel is left for about 15-20 days in the tank, the aluminum, the silver components, whatever the coating is, it just dissolves and forms a gunk, and just straight away goes into the carburetors or the head.
Yes,
or the
yes,
injector.
correct. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that is the second problem. The third problem is flaking, adhesion issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the main reasons.
Yes, so what we know from our experience is that we have any issues with that, so that the coating is separating from the metal surface. So as I understand right now, you're faced with with that problem, that they have existing coating inside, or the customer coat the tanks, and they have or the system they provide for the two-pack coatings are too brittle. Yeah, so this is the point, and this is what this is the major feature from our product, that we have that not. But now we have to, we are faced with that issue, how to take it out. So so the rust converter is a water-based product, yeah, and it will be affecting the rubber and the coatings not. Yeah, it will be affecting, but once you have it in a high concentration, maybe over 4 weeks inside, then a coating will be affected. Yeah, this means the rust converter will be not taking out the remaining coating. It will be, or once the coating is away, you have rot situation. Yeah, yes, this will be solved, the issue. But finally, to coat the tank with our solution, with our tank fix, we need an absolutely blank steel, like you have seen on the images. Yeah, this is absolutely needed. Don't go ahead with or coat an existing coating. This will be not working. For taking out that existing coating, we developed the product. It's called Tank X. It's a family. It's a rust fix, tank fix, and tank X. And this is a very heavy, I will call it heavy chemistry, which is very dangerous to handle. But we can take it out in a short time. So we provide that in 1 liter packs. The 1 liter pack is enough for 60 liters. So you have to shake it in the tank, so that from time to time that the chemistry will be working on the surface of the coating to weaken it. And then you have to do it mechanically. Once again, with bolts and nuts, shake it or put it on a concrete mixer, like you have seen on the handmade support, to take it out. Yeah, the remaining coating. This is a hard job, to be honest, but what to do? So the customer is faced with that issue. So I will look. I have one professional guy here. He is working with us. I think he do around more than 50 tanks per week, and he have produced special supports and devices to take that out mechanically. Yeah. So once you, I think I will connect you to him to share that experience with you. Yeah. Which we have, because we are providing the chemicals. So we are deep involved. We have our own workshop to do that. So to develop such a product, to see the behavior, what happens, yeah, to give the customer perfect support. So the customer, once the customer is asking a question, he realizing that we have experience, yeah, and he give us the trust to buy the product. So only buying or only selling is not possible, because as you have seen, we have a lot of experience in that. And whatever happens in the last 25 years, it's coming on my desk. Yeah. So once the most failure is on the market, because the customer don't read the instructions. They don't follow up the instructions. Yeah. And they do what they want, and then it's failed. Yeah, especially the preparation of the tank before coating. For example, using only the wrong solvent to clean. For example, once they use kerosene, yeah, this is a failure. Yeah, you need to use acetone for that. Yeah, for example. Yeah, but it's this is mentioned in our instruction absolutely perfect several times. Yeah, and once the customer don't follow up their rules, it's gonna failing. Yeah. So next question in the chat. Generally, for a perfect adhering of any coating, we have to plasting, roughing, using various media to get a better surface. Any specific type of media needs to be used, or what is the surface preparation that needs to be done for a perfect adhesion? And this is a good question. So look, once we are, we have several stages. So once we are derosting a tank, we have pores inside. This rawness is enough for coating. Once you have a new tank, for example, if the bike has an accident, customer is coming, need a new tank, and you sell them a coating. Okay, the new tanks are covered, are protected with a corrosion protection oil, for example, inside. And this has nothing to do with the rawness, but the oil is inside the metal pores, and at that space you can't have an adhesion, or it's not connecting to the metal surface. This is what I want to tell you. Therefore, for example, once you have new tanks, you have to start the derost process, because in our rust converter, acid is inside, and this acid will be affecting the metal surface, and this is quite enough for the rawness, yeah, for that metal surface. Or we have tanks from aluminum, yeah, we have an oxide layer on it, yeah. This must be a little bit to create a raw surface. You have to put in, for example, security glass or safety glass, like you have seen in the images, or sharp bolts, yeah, for wooden bolts, for example, to raw the surface inside. So you have to prepare the tank metal surfaces inside. It's not so easy. It's not like you send it from outside, for example. But all this equipment, you can use that for that. So from glass to nuts, bolts, even sand, yeah, or in the industry we call it in Germany Gleitschleifsteine. These are small. This isn't for industrial use. These are small, sharp metal stones. Yeah, we are using to raw the surface, or taking out any coatings. But for professional use, yeah, I will connect you to my colleague here. He operates a company specialized for refurbishing tanks, and he should give you or us some tips how to do it perfect, because it's a big business. So we are taking around 100 euros to 120 per tank for a motorbike tank. So I have no idea how much you charge for refurbishing a tank from a customer in India. So next question. If we coat the tank from outside, would it be able to spray a primer, base coat, and clear coat on top? Would the paint thinner cause problems to the coating? Also from outside, you can use any primers, yeah, but you have to do a pre-test before, yeah. Finally, you should test it before. Maybe on a piece of metal, you paint on with a brush our coating, let it dry it out, and do several tests before with different primers. So not on the tank from the customer, do a pre-test before which primer or which coating works best.
Sorry, may I know what is the consumption?
Consumption.
Coating for tank.
Yeah. For example, from a two-wheeler, from 10 to 15 liters, we need around, for coating, we need around 150 milliliters.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not much, because the coating is very thin. It's a solvent based, and the layer we want to create in this is not thick. This is the reason why we need not much quantity. Mhm. Yeah, so then I know a little bit more about the Indian market. So it's quite a challenge there, as I understand right now. And yeah, let me see what we can do together. Okay.
Definitely.
Sandesh has tasted our micro ceramic and LI 400.
Micro ceramic is a fantastic product. Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, yes,
fantastic.
yeah. You
I've
tested
used it
in
on multiple applications,
Mhm.
including the air compressor that we have in the garage. The
Yes.
noise seems to be, reduced considerably.
Yes. Mhm.
I can feel that, the mechanical components are not wearing as it is supposed to.
Yes, yes. So, for example, we can use that in the wet clutches as well. So, sure, once we have motorbikes more than 200 horsepower, it could be possible that the clutch will be sliding, and we have no issues with the filters. So yes, we have issues with the filters once the filters is very, very small, like a finger thick. So the normal standard filter we have in the passenger cars and in the bikes with a filtering range of 15 to 13 microns, there is no issues. And especially we have no problems with wet clutches because the microceramics don't coat the surfaces from the clutch. Exactly the opposite happens. We reduce the wear on the clutches or on the wet brakes. So, for example, you have John Deere blend in India. John Deere is using, for example, in the front axle, they're using wet brakes in the differentials. And even there, you can use that product without any negative effects. And in the motorbikes, we have small clutches in comparison to the horsepower. For example, so 100 horsepower and the clutch size like that. Even by such a combination, we have no issues with the clutch. And that's fantastic because the microceramic particles are chemically inert, have no issues with the temperatures we have in the brakes or on the friction surfaces, and produce no coating, like, for example, PDFE do, or on the temperature range MOS2 or graphite do. And that behavior is fantastic for such application, especially in gearboxes for motorbikes. So I don't know which type of Royal Enfield the most sold out machines are using. I think you have wet clutches as well inside, or they have a dry clutch.
Wet clutch it is.
It's a wet clutch, okay. Though no issues for using that product in such a systems.
So Sandesh has a very wide experience, and I think he is possibly a all-rounder now.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to see where I can fit myself in, sir.